Hi everybody, welcome back to the studio. Hope you enjoyed that last episode. We have got the Regency Gent back on the bench today. I've got a lot more to take off, a lot more of the background I think I'm going to look at today and see if we can clean off some of that. I've got some blue colours coming through already, so hopefully we'll get a bit of a major difference there. What else have we got going on in the studio? A few things in for gilding, couple of things over there that need restoring and cleaning. A couple of things over there have been gilded, so it's been fairly busy really, which is good, and that's probably why you've not seen much of me. I'm trying to get more videos out, but it's just so hard to be consistent. But who knows, maybe one day I'll just be able to do this all the time. But anyway, let's get back to the Regency Gent and see what we can do. Okay, let's get going.
Right, so this is the same strength solution as I've been using on his face. I'm not entirely sure whether this background has been overpainted like the rest of the portrait, or whether it's just got masses of accumulations of dirt and soot. There you can see the before. So if you've missed part one, I'll put a link in for you, but that's how he arrived. So you can see the face has been sort of recovered now, still needs some more work to do. But I'm just concentrating today on this background area at the moment. That blue that is coming through, I can only imagine is sky at of some degree. And even though there is quite a lot of dirt on there, I think these are clouds that are coming through as well. So I'm removing grey dirt to reveal grey clouds. I'm not entirely sure how bright these will get, but I'm just going to keep slowly working across this section, checking my swab as usual. You'll get used to me doing that, and just making sure that what I am removing is the dirt, and I'm not going too deep yet. But let's carry on with this background area and see what reveals. So in this first pass you can see the swab colour is quite dark, and then when I move to an area that I've already cleaned you can see the residue is a lot paler as those layers of dirt and grime remove. So what I tend to do is I'll work on an area, take off some of that really dark, the stronger elements of the dirt, and then go back over to an area that I've already cleaned, just checking the swab and making sure that it's all consistent. I think the majority of this must be soot. If it was stored in an attic, the eaves are blowing through, there's the chimney breasts are there, and the wind's blowing that soot from the cracks in the brickwork, and it's just settling on this painting. And then if it gets damp, it kind of forms almost like a paint surface on top, and then that'll dry out, and then the whole process will repeat again. I can't really imagine the amateur artist that we're calling him now would overpaint this whole background. I don't know whether that would be something that he would have done, but he was certainly confident enough to tackle the face and the cravat. Maybe he just thought he would carry on with the background as well, but I think this is mainly dirt, and it's moving quite easily. It's a uniform layer, it's not too stubborn. So I'm just going to carry on around the rest of this background now and see if I can reveal some of that lovely turquoise blue. I've been reading through your comments, and there's a number of theories of how the portrait kind of turned into what we see here today. A number of people have suggested that the restorer or artist was a bit out of his depth, and I wonder if he over-cleaned the portrait or couldn't remove the varnish or something, but got himself into trouble and then started the process of retouching to hide his tracks. Now I kind of think this theory might be true too. It happens all too often really, and the overpaint, once the overpaint goes on and you've jumped in, you have to kind of keep going, and I think that may be what have happened. I think he might have cleaned the portrait or over cleaned it in sections and then retouched and then just kept going and going, and he probably left those eyes till last and maybe kept those as original, but by that time the whole face had been completely overpainted, and yeah, he was a little bit too far in, One comment made me laugh though, that the guy actually had the audacity to put his label on the back of the painting as if he was pleased with the work that he'd done. So now whether he applied this label or a family member applied the label to give him some accreditation for it, I'm not quite sure. I quite like the idea of him turning up to a country hall and delivering the painting back very, very pleased with himself with his label on the back and then handing it over. I would love to have been in the room at that point just to see how that conversation went. You can see now on this side of the painting that lovely blue colour is coming across the background too, and those clouds are continuing as well, so I'm quite pleased to see that and see that that's still intact. Again, it's very thick on this side. Sometimes depending on where it's hung or what it's been exposed to, the areas get dirtier. Like if it's close to a fire on one side, that area can have more deposits on there. So yeah, just a different angle here. You can see that blue really coming through, and then compared to that top, a top fifth of the painting, you can see how thick and black that is. It really is quite dense there. So I'm just going to work around that area now and try and reveal a little bit more of that background colour. You can see here the swab pile growing as I continue to clean. I've got quite big swabs here today. That's for two reasons really, just because I'm on the background area and I can see there's not too much detail in there, and it's just big swathes of colour, and also because the area is so thick. As I'm cleaning, I want the swab to absorb as much dirt as possible. So as I'm doing that swab action, the dirt is collecting in the middle of that swab and pulling away from the painting. And yeah, obviously just keep checking with the loom as well, establishing what is the paint layer, either underneath varnish or if that is the old varnish layer, and making sure that, you know, I'm actually still just removing the dirt and grime and not going too hard and heavy on that painting. But yeah, the swab pile's growing and the background is revealing itself. Even from this angle, he's striking and he's holding your gaze. Yeah, he's looking much improved from when he first arrived.
Right, so you can see I've just cleared that background to a degree there. It's very, very dirty and thick with God knows what, soot, dust, muck, dirt. I think it's been in a stable for 100 years. So it is kind of coming clean. I can see the blue tones of the sky coming through, and there's some clouds in there as well, which I'm going to start working on. I'm just going to have a look at his face now, because there is that section on his forehead here which still looks overpainted, and I've still got decisions to make on his eyebrows. So I'm going to have a look at that now, and yeah, let's go and have a look at that.
So I've reverted back to a weaker solution. I'm still going to use the big swab because I want to kind of soften that whole area. It is quite thick on his forehead, so I've gone back to a weaker solution, and I'm just going to start applying that onto his forehead now, and you'll start being able to see me cut through that layer of paint to get to the paler skin tones underneath. So I'll just try and bring this a little bit closer for you so you can actually see what I can see while I'm doing this. Okay, so there you can see the darker overpaint, and then just little sections, almost like pixels, coming through that surface. So it's very thick here. You can see it all above his eyebrow where that curl of the hair is. You can see the flesh tone on my swab. You can see what's actually removing. So I'm just going to keep applying my solution and softening that paint layer. And then while that's working, so I'm not actually rubbing that area, I go to a different part of the painting, and it just allows it to kind of do what it needs to do. I've had a number of comments about whether I wanted to use a gel suspension on this painting, but with it being different levels and different layers of paint, some thick, some thin, I just wanted to monitor as much as possible how much I was actually removing. So I'm kind of just doing it with just the swab, and I'm just grading my solution as I go. So if I feel like it needs a little bit more strength, I can just add a little bit more to that and have a stronger solution that will take more paint off. And then I can just keep monitoring where I'm going with that. So again, you can see I am making progress on that forehead, but there's bits that are still quite thick, so it'll just be a slow process of just taking off the peaks, if you like, and spending less time on the lower areas, because I don't want to abrase too much of the texture of the original paint. At this point, while I'm cleaning, there's probably 100 things going through my mind as well. It is very relaxing. It does kind of turn into quite a meditative process, shall we say. But I also find myself looking at areas and assessing what's going to need retouching as I go along. So you'll see some little small dots and black areas. These are little areas of paint loss that will need retouching in. And then in terms of like the eyes, they look a little bit weak, shall we say, so they'll need a little bit of pigment on there just to put those back strongly as they should be. And sometimes it's a bit of a balance. You might leave, rather than over clean an area, which you don't want to do, you might think to yourself, well, if it's only a few tiny little touches, I could just touch those in rather than risk losing an area. Like these hair parts, the brown tones are always the softer pigments. They're not as strong as the white pigments and the metal pigments. So you're always careful around the hair area, just because those soft umbers and siennas are really quite weak pigments in comparison to, say, these flesh tones that will have been mixed with either a flake white or a lead white and are much more robust. Okay, so here he is now. I've just literally finished having a look at that forehead. There's still some areas that I need to look at, but I'm just going to lightly go over theirs. But the bulk of that paint is off now, so I'm just, if you like, tidying up. I'm seeing little small areas of overpaint, and as I push my swab over the paint surface, it shows me what it will look like when it gets varnished or the barrier varnish goes on. So again, I'll just be looking closely at this portrait and making sure that I get any horrible big thick swathes of paint off there. And just looking at the shadows, so that shadow around the side of his forehead kind of is modelling his face. His eyebrows have got a lot more shape to them now, and I think they are very much in keeping with the rest of the portrait. His hair is quite thinly painted, so there are kind of washes on there, so I'm just kind of conscious that I don't do too much off there. But around the background now, you can see the matte areas of the dirt that is still on there. So in that top right corner, you can still see a very matte opaque grey that I still need to assess. And as the painting dries, once your solution has evaporated, you can see what still needs to be removed. So there's still a lot of work to do in that background area, and there's still some stubborn areas to tackle on his face as well. So still lots to do. He's looking much improved though. What a character. Look at the character in his face now. He looks so chiselled. He looks like a force to be reckoned with, really. I think he is quite a dominant alpha male, shall we say, compared to the very blancmange looking caricature that we started with. So yeah, kind of looking forward to getting down onto that cravat too. So yeah, he's looking great. He really is. So it's a long process, as you can see, small steps, but by being measured in my approach, I'm just getting the result that I want. So yeah, I've just pulled away my swab, and then you can see these crusty dark sections here of this is still dirt that needs to come off. It's very matte. You can see it's in great swathes across the portrait where I haven't actually tackled and cleaned yet.
So here's the swab pile from that. You can see here consistent colour, the background, all the filth and dirt, and then these are all the flesh tones, the overpainted flesh tones. So you can see that they're a consistent colour too. Filthy black. It's been a long time since I've had one as dirty as this, but got all this to do now across the top, clean all that. The background's coming clearer, and then I'll start to have a look at his cravat area. Yeah, pleased, it's looking good. Right, so now it's dried off a little bit. You can still see all these areas of dirt here. So this is all dirt. This is all dirt and grime to come off. I've cleaned here and stopped here. So again, all this has got to come off as well yet. Still see some of this background here, which is nice. It's this cloud. Dirt all the way down. And then I think this here, again, something overpainted here. This doesn't look quite right. This is going to be a nice kind of beige cream colour, and then this should be whiter. But look at his face now, that's so much better. Got some real definition there, these nice wisps of his hair, and his hair coming across here, and this coming across almost looks a bit like Heathcliff. It looks a bit windswept, very moody. I think these eyebrows are actually legit now, so they're original. His eyes, little bits of losses there, but we can put those back in now, but at least I know this is our original layer. If we go closer, got little bits of paint loss here and across. Still some overpaint here to remove, and here, bits here, but he's looking a lot better. You might not think so, but I'm so pleased with that now. He's looking really, really good compared to how he arrived. Right, stopping for today. Look at the weather out there. I don't think you can see that, but it is, there you go, look at that. Manchester in the sunshine. But yeah, it's a beautiful day, so I'm going to knock it on the head soon. Really pleased with how he's looking now. Like in the episode last week, I said how scary it was and how unenjoyable it was, and it is at that point. You're terrified that you're going to lose some original paint. It should be a mess underneath. But once you find that layer, and that base layer, that ground layer, you can get confident then. You can be confident with your mixture. You know what you're taking off is the overpaint, and then the actual portrait starts coming through. So yeah, I'm really pleased with him. He's looking really good, and we're going to get a good result. So I'm going to leave it there for today. I might come back in tomorrow. If this is the end of the episode, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking. Thank you to my new patrons that have joined. If you want to check out my Patreon page, there is ad-free content on there, and there will be some more exclusive stuff coming soon when I get some time. I will be updating that. But for now, thanks very much. We'll leave the Regency gent where he is. I might have to start calling him by his first name if we can confirm that. But anyway, I look forward to seeing your comments. Thanks, guys. Bye. Look at this, the glamour. The glamour of painting restoration. Absolutely. Oh, disgusting. All that muck. Oh, anyway.